Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Classic Comics. This is my review of Superman and Lois episode 4, which is called Haywire. Now, this episode will have spoilers in it, so if you haven't seen the episode yet, you might want to watch that first and then come back. So we start about 6 years ago with Morgan Edge, and there's some kind of a meteor shower going on, and Edge and some of his people have arrived at the site where the meteors are coming down. And Morgan Edge stops and investigates one of the craters where a meteor's come down, and we see this kind of orange glowing object in the crater. Then we go to the present, and it's, I guess it's probably Friday night, and there's a high school football game, and it's the first game of the season, and Smallville's losing, and the head coach tells Jordan, hey, I need you to get out there and make a play, because we need to get the ball back. So Jordan goes in, and sure enough, he gets out there and he immediately sacks the other team's quarterback, and he drops the ball, which gets picked up by, I think it's Sean. Sean is the kid's name. And he picks up the ball and he runs in and scores a touchdown, and Smallville wins. And everybody's thrilled, and Jordan is the big hero of the game, and afterwards they give him the game ball, and then they go out to have a celebration. Now, they're having a big celebration dinner at this local diner, and there's this kid, he's an Asian kid, his name is Tag, and he's a wide receiver for the team, but his arm's busted. And he's upset because he can't play. And then Jonathan, he's also kind of down in spirits because, of course, back in Metropolis, he was a star player, and he was the big hero of the team, but here in Smallville, he's a backup, and he's getting ignored, and he's basically an afterthought, and they're both kind of struggling with their frustrations. Now, back at the farm, General Lane shows up, and General Lane kind of scolds Clark because he's spending too much time in Smallville, and he tells Clark that he needs to be spending more time as Superman. Lana and her husband Kyle, they go out to a dinner with the mayor and with Morgan Edge, and he offers to help Lana in her career in some way. We're not sure how, but it makes Lana uncomfortable. Now, over at the Smallville Gazette, Lois is writing up a story on Morgan Edge and how he doesn't have good intentions towards the town. Now, while Lois and Chrissy are talking about the story, this woman who works for Morgan Edge comes in and presents Lois with some papers that threaten a lawsuit if she publishes her story about Edge, and also threatens to sue her if she says anything publicly that's negative about Edge. Lois is just like, okay, well, go ahead, sue me, I don't care. But Chrissy says, look, the Gazette can't afford this lawsuit, so she kills Lois's story, which Lois is really upset about. Now, after the celebratory dinner, Tag goes home to his house, and he's frustrated and angry because he can't play, and he wants to get the cast off of his arm, and then he suddenly starts to have this kind of violent shaking or vibration in his arm that has a cast on it, and it appears he's developing some kind of a superpower. Now, the next morning, Lois talks to Clark, and there's going to be this town meeting at the city hall where they're going to vote on Morgan Edge's proposal to the town to reopen the mine and all that. And Lois wants to speak out against it, but because of this lawsuit threat, she really can't do it. So she asks Clark if he will come to the town hall meeting and speak for her, because the lawsuit is towards her, it's not towards him. And he says, yeah, sure, I can do that, no problem. Over at the city hall, Kyle and Lana are getting the place ready for the meeting that night, and Lana is upset with Kyle because at the dinner last night, when Morgan Edge was saying all these things to her about helping her in her career, it was making her uncomfortable, and Kyle didn't do anything. And it's one of these things, where the woman basically is like, why didn't you read my mind and do that thing I wanted you to do? And of course, Kyle's like, what? I don't even, what are you talking about? So Lois goes to the mine where Morgan Edge is, and she confronts Edge and basically tells him off, and that she's a strong, independent woman, and she's not scared of him, and blah blah blah, and all that, and tells him that she's gonna make sure that that proposal doesn't pass, so that she can't, or rather, so that he can't take advantage of Smallville and ruin the town. Back at the farm, General Lane is leaving, but before he leaves, he talks to the boys and tells them basically that, look, your dad is Superman, he's got a lot of responsibilities, and so he tells them to not be a burden on him and to distract him from his responsibilities of fighting bad guys. Now, back in Smallville, there's this organization called Intergang, and they're kind of a criminal organization that is led by this guy called Thaddeus Kilgrave. And he's being transferred from one prison to another, and General Lane wanted Clark to kind of be there to oversee the transfer so that nothing went wrong. Clark declined because he, has other responsibilities, he says. But then, of course, while the transfer is going on, something goes wrong and Thaddeus Kilgrave escapes. Now, he's being transferred in this armored car, and he's got this chewing gum, but he spits the gum out, and then he tells the guards it's like this compound he created in his jail cell somehow. In the comics, Kilgrave isn't really a inventive genius like Lex Luthor is, but they're kind of playing him that way. Anyway, the compound blows up and takes out the two guards. Now, they're in this enclosed space, so how it can blow up and kill the two guards and leave him completely unharmed, I don't know, but that's what happens. And then some of his people in Intergang intercept the truck and they spring him and he gets free. Now, the football team is having a meeting, and during the meeting, Tag again begins to have these kind of violent vibrations in his arm, so he runs to the men's room to hide. And he's in a stall having this happening to him. And of course, Jonathan is concerned, and so he follows him and is like going, "Hey man, bro, what's going on? You okay?" And Tag's like, "No, I'm fine." Now, when General Lane finds out about Kilgrave escaping, he activates the emergency signal device to alert Superman. Superman hears the signal going off, but he's concerned about Jonathan, so he follows Jonathan into the bathroom, and Jonathan tells him he's concerned about Tag, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with Tag. So Tag comes out of the stall and says, "No, I'm fine, there's no problem." So then Clark heads to Metropolis to stop Kilgrave. Now, General Lane contacts Superman and tells him where to go to find Kilgrave, but when Superman arrives there, it's some kind of a decoy device that was giving off a false signal or something like that. So basically, Kilgrave isn't there, and it looks like he has slipped away. The twins and Sarah go to this party with a bunch of the other students, and they're hanging out and having a good time. Now, Tag is at the party, and he starts to have one of those violent, vibrating episodes again, and Tag kind of gets freaked out, so he flees from the party. Jonathan's concerned, so he goes after Tag, and then Jordan goes after Jonathan. Now, General Lane gets another fix on Kilgrave's location, and he sends Superman there to take him out, but when Superman arrives, it's kind of an ambush, and Kilgrave attacks Superman with this kind of sonic gun that he has. Back in Smallville, Jonathan and Jordan find Tag out in the woods, but now the vibrating has gotten even worse. It's basically all over his body now. He kind of is freaking out, and he can't stop it. Jordan thinks that he somehow caused this when he set off his heat vision at that party back in the first episode, because Tag was nearby, so Jordan's convinced that he somehow has caused this to happen to Tag, and he wants to try and stop it. Jonathan wants to use the signal device to call, their dad to come in and handle it, but Jordan says, "No, let me try and stop it." So he grabs hold of Tag and tries to stop his vibrating, and he's able to for a few seconds, but then the vibrating resumes and he violently throws Jordan off. So then Jonathan pulls Jordan's signal device out and he activates it. Back in Metropolis, Superman hears the signal device, and then he uses his hands, he does the thing, where he makes this loud clap and it causes this concussion wave that knocks Kilgrave and the other goons over. Then he heat visions the sonic device and destroys it, which took him all of like 3 seconds. And I'm like, why didn't you just do that in the first place? Because why did you lay there on the ground having Kilgrave shoot you with the sonic beam for like 5 minutes first? Why didn't you just do that immediately? But whatever. And he heads to Smallville. Now he finds Tag out in the woods, and then he flies Tag up into the atmosphere, and I guess the thin air up there causes him to fall unconscious, which stops the vibrations. Now, in the aftermath of all this, General Lane tells them that Tag's been taken to this special school for kids with superpowers, apparently, and that he's not hurt, he's okay. And then Clark asks the kids, why did you wait so long to signal me? Why didn't you do it the minute something was going wrong? And of course, they both look right at General Lane, at Grandpa, and that's when Lois and Clark find out that General Lane had told them not to signal or not to distract their father from being Superman because, he had more important things to do. Of course, Clark and Lois are upset when they hear about this, and they confront General Lane over it. And then Lois gets all pissed, and he's like, if you keep bringing this toxic masculinity into our home, then you're not going to be welcome here anymore. The following night, Clark and Lois have this romantic dinner out in the barn. And Clark does this to try and make it up to Lois because she's upset that Clark was off in Metropolis chasing down Kilgrave instead of showing up at the assembly like she wanted him to. But then in the middle of the dinner, General Lane calls, and there's some emergency in Malawi or something like that, so he takes off to deal with that. At the DOD, General Lane pulls out that dog tag that had been given to him by Captain Luthor back in, I think it was the second episode, and then he decides to begin a new protocol called Protocol 7734, which is the number on the tag, and apparently this is going to be an anti-Superman protocol. And remember, General Lane has all that kryptonite that he stockpiled. The way it's going, it looks like General Lane's probably going to wind up working with Captain Luthor at some point. Back in Smallville, Morgan Edge is at the mine again, and he's using some kind of device to scan the walls of the mine. And there's this woman with him. And then he tells her, okay, it's right here. So then she punches into the wall. She's got super strength. And she opens part of the wall up. And it turns out that the reason Edge is interested in this mine is because it contains kryptonite. And this is not like the regular green kryptonite. This stuff seems to be orange. I think Edge calls it X-kryptonite or something like that. I'm guessing that we're going to find out that this type of kryptonite, it gives people superpowers. It has mutagenic properties or something like that, kind of like what they did on Smallville, and that's how he has these superpowered people working for him. So overall, the show continues to be aggressively mediocre. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not particularly good either. One thing that puzzles me is how General Lane is, why is he concerned with Kilgrave being transferred from one prison to another? He works with the Department of Defense. This is like a law enforcement thing. They seem to be using General Lane and the Department of Defense as if it were like S.H.I.E.L.D. in the Marvel Universe where they're in law enforcement, but they're not. So how is this even any of General Lane's concern? I don't know. In the DC Universe, they have fictional organizations to deal with that kind of stuff that are kind of counterparts to S.H.I.E.L.D. So why they don't use them, I don't know, but I guess because General Lane wouldn't be working for those organizations because he's not in law enforcement, so they're doing it this way instead. I don't know. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but in any case, let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments, and if you would, please leave a like and hit the subscribe button, and also hit the bell for notifications, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.